when the Islamophobes and the alt-right tells us go back home, to be honest, basically that's a true statement, and I agree with it. We should go back home.
What?
Any person with half a brain who understands politics, geopolitics, must understand that this trend of anti-Muslim hate will continue to rise, not just continue as it is. If you're not scared about your future and the future of your kids, you're an idiot.
But there's no way that there's going to be a crusade-like thing that's going to happen. We have human rights, we have international law.
These things don't apply to Muslims. Human rights with the side on TV, man, like forget it, man. Let me tell you something. Why are Muslims here? Because California is beautiful. Lots of economic opportunity, technological advancements. Life is beautiful. Why can't Pakistan be like that? Because you don't want the responsibility and you would love life. That is not going to be forgiven by Allah. And anybody who says otherwise is a liar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're back on the Islamically Correct Show, where we don't care to be politically correct because we're aiming to be Islamically correct. We're back today with Sheikh Usta. Anti-Muslim hatred. We've seen a rise recently all over social media. We've seen people like Ben Shapiro producing movies that are technically calling for violence against Muslim people. You have Elon Musk being interviewed by The Economist and not being able to admit he's anti-Muslim, rather saying he is against people that are antithetical to Western values. He also promoted a flimsy movie called The Citizen Vigilante, where the white hero massacres a Muslim family. You have a 183% rise in mosque attacks. And I'm sure many of you have seen a lot of Islamophobic anti-Muslim videos do the rounds on social media of Muslims being assaulted for their faith. Some of them even being Sikh, but they looked like Muslims and that's why they got attacked. And that's just what made the media. So what we want to do today is we want to understand, why is this happening? Is this just a repeat of history? And what are we supposed to do going forward as Muslims? So Sheikh, these are clearly sensitive times. And so the first question I want to ask you is, why is this happening? Is this just another flare-up?
No, definitely it's not a flare-up. This is where basically Muslims need to be cautioned. Many Muslims think basically this is a flare-up and things will get better in a year or two, which is sadly wishful, mythical thinking. So this is not true. The socio-political environment and the ideological shift that happened in Western society is already done. It's shifted. There's populist movements across Europe and North America, different countries, different levels of intensity, that now are seeking Muslims to leave the West. And look, it's after September 11th, things have been growing, right? The Western politician and the Western, let's say, thinker and the Western, sadly, average citizen today does not want Muslims in the West. Okay? Period.
You mentioned September 11th. And what a lot of people may say is, actually, that was much worse than what we have now. And the propaganda machine did a pretty big job in terms of defaming the Muslims and dehumanizing them, to the point where we had millions of people killed in Iraq and so on and so forth.
So let me tell you, let me kind of explain one thing.
Yeah.
To understand our situation, there's multiple factors.
Okay.
And we need to at least touch upon a few of them. Number one, the Zionist media conglomerates and the Zionist lobbyists, they want to stir a Muslim Western tension. Okay? This is happening. There's a million proofs for this. And many people did research on this to prove the linkages and the money flow. And
just 2026, like recently, they invested $1 billion. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs did, yeah. And that's clear. That's the public.
Yeah, so that's one. Number two, the Western politicians who need to continuously invade and plunder the Muslim world need to always basically massage the public opinion within the Western populace to be anti-Muslim. That's number two. Number three, there's also now a wave of populist thinking where the Western politicians who are doing very bad for their own countries and economically things are pretty down, they want to stir also another contradiction within society, so they deflect the concern from the citizen to the politician to be from the citizen to other citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they create multiple contradictions. One of them is the Muslim hate.
Okay.
So these three factors are main factors, the literally main factors of why there's Muslim hate here. Since the Zionist lobby will continue to be anti-Muslim, right? And since the wars and the interest in the resources of the Muslim world and in the interest of keeping the Muslim world in continuous perpetual wars is the foreign policy that's not going to change in the Western countries, and because sadly their economies are going to continue to go downwards, the three main reasons why there's Muslim hate will continue to be there for a long time. So any person with half a brain who understands politics, geopolitics, geopolitical strategy, economics, and internal politics within the Western countries must understand and be at a certain level that anti-Muslim hate will continue to rise for the medium term, which is for the next 5 to 10 years minimum.
Okay.
I'm not saying long term, but because it's harder to forecast long term, but 5 to 10 years minimum, this trend of anti-Muslim hate will continue to rise, not just continue as it is, continue to rise.
So you're saying this is just the beginning?
Well, no, the beginning started with sadly in the 90s. In the mid-90s with the neocons, that's when basically the Muslim hate started in Hollywood, in the media, and so forth. Before the mid-90s and in the 80s, there was not much, there was just regular discrimination. It's like, if you're black, you're discriminated upon. If you're Arab, you're discriminated upon. If you're a Muslim, if you're immigrant.
Yeah.
Like, xenophobia, Islamophobia, racism of all types. But since the early mid-90s, let's say mid-90s, that's when basically it became a policy that the Western politician, because of the interventionist foreign policy in the Muslim world, right? Because see, the communist threat was over, and in the strategic documents in the United States, they said clearly that the red menace is gone, and now basically they need to replace it with the green menace. These are words from public policy documents and think tank documents, right? So you need to understand it. Communism basically fell in 89, 90. So after that, that's when the neocons came in and said, look, we need now to create a new menace. Because see, the Western capitalist systems cannot survive without an enemy. Because the bond between the people is patriotism.
Yeah, they're united against the enemy.
They have to always unite versus like something. Otherwise, they'll plunge into civil war themselves. Or at least
has happened in the past.
Yeah, exactly. So the American Civil War is not too far away, like 100 years and a bit. So Muslims need to understand that this is not changing, especially if we don't do anything about it, right? Like, we need to pursue, media solutions, legal solutions, political solutions for this to protect ourselves as a minority here in the West, because we have 50 million Muslims in the West, right? 40 million in Europe and 10 million in North America.
Yeah. In the 90s, previous to September 11, there was a buildup of this propaganda machine starting
because you have to set up the public opinion before intervention, right?
So are you saying right now this is a repeat of that?
Look, back then, the Israeli lobby was not as intense and able as today, like 30 years ago, 35 years ago, right? So that's one. Number two, the economies in the West was way better in the 90s, way better. People were affluent, people were having fun, that's prior to the dot-com bubble and so forth. So these countries were way wealthier. So you have two reasons that were not there. And the third reason was just starting. Because don't forget, like, the United States was allied with what they called the freedom fighters in Afghanistan against the Russians. So there was lots of alliances between the West and the Islamic world against communism. You see what I'm saying? Like, the shift is radical.
Okay.
The Western shift is radical. Now there's no communism. We became the enemy.
Yeah.
So the foreign policy is as we said, is number one. The Zionist lobby now, they want way more attention so they can continue their Zionist project and their expansionist project and then their apartheid project. The third one is sadly their economies now are down and they need again social conflict. So these three reasons were almost non-existent. Almost all of them, but except one, right? Like, so at least 2 out of 3 were almost non-existent. One of them was at the beginning of its intensity. So that's why the anti-Muslim hate is way more today than definitely September 11.
So let me push back a little bit. Some people will say that actually, in fact, it did take us a while, maybe 10, 20 years, 2 decades. But we're starting to see, a reverse in that Islamophobia that was built up in the 90s and after September 11. Right now, we have people rising, such as Mamdani, we have Al-Sayed. We're seeing a lot of momentum. We have CARE, we have NCCM. We have a lot more Muslims in the West, and they're lobbying for their own affairs and for their own interests. So we actually did a good job reversing all of that, and we've been doing good.
There's no reversals. Like there's no right now the numbers like the numbers are actually showing triple and quadruple and quintuple of rise in Islamophobic attacks. Like almost every day there's attacks.
No, I agree with you, but people will say this is only recently. That it's only been a few months, and so just like it's starting again. And what they're saying is going forward, we just need to push back and resist until we reverse it at some point, whether it takes a few years, 10 years, 20 years. It's a constant loop. You get what I mean?
I definitely agree with that, actually. I don't disagree with that. I believe we need to basically work within the media sector to remove misconceptions and to counter the propaganda against the Muslims. We need to work and we need to support all the sincere politicians and even somewhat opportunistic politicians that can serve our agenda to a certain extent. And actually go and support them and vote for them, definitely, in office, both in every Western country. I'm in support for that 100%. I'm not saying this is a cure, right? But we need to be more politically aware, more engaged, but understand that it is a limited tool.
Yeah.
And we must also have legal entities that challenges the different laws that are coming out in the courts and to lobby politicians to not endorse it and to reverse certain things that are oppressive and unconstitutional. These three mediums, the media and the law and the political circles, we as Muslim community have no choice except for us to engage fully to protect our civil rights in the West. That being said, I'm trying to tell you the second part of the story that people always like to turn a blind eye to. That things are not going to get way better. We could soften the blow. We could basically kind of make things a little bit better for some time, But we need to understand as Muslims, we immigrated from the Muslim world here. It is time for us to start thinking that, look, God, alhamdulillah, blessed us with being here for some time. Some of us have been here for 65 years. And some of us have been here for 5 years or 3 years or 2 years or whatever it is. But we as a community, we must understand that we need to build the Muslim world because that's our homeland. And we need to go back to our Muslim world and make it a flourishing, beautiful, peaceful, secure place to live in that has a high quality of life. We cannot just continue to basically live here forever. You see what I'm saying? Whether the situation changes fully and becomes super welcoming to Muslims or not. We as Muslims, our aqeedah tells us we're supposed to live in a Muslim society.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
Like you want to hear the adhan, you want to see clean streets, you want to see streets that doesn't have nudity, you want to have an internet that doesn't have pornography, you want to have TV that doesn't have sexuality and perversion, you want to have schools that doesn't have a contradiction to your ideological values, businesses that doesn't deal with usury and fraud, and you want to have an economy that doesn't have, let's say, pollution and pesticides and all types of, let's say, microplastics. You want to have an economy that is fair for everybody, that's just for everybody, that doesn't have racism, doesn't have discrimination, that has access to medicine and healthcare, has for everybody equally, that has access to the judiciary on an equal footing with everybody in society, that doesn't allow the business conglomerates to take over the economy and have a huge gap between the rich and the poor, that has this is what we aspire for. Now, these values that I just presented contradict the capitalist system. They don't align with it, right? While we're here, we respect it as it is. We respect the Western countries as they are. We're not here to cause any change. We do not want to change these countries. We just want to protect our civil rights. And we must have a mission to help the Muslim world progress and revive, and for us to immigrate back so we can live in our natural habitat. We are like a fish outside the water while we're here. And we need to admit that. And when the Islamophobes and the alt-right tells us go back home, to be honest, basically that's a true statement. And I agree with it. We should go back home. I'm not saying basically pack your bag and leave, as I said a million times, but we should have a project. We should have, some timeline, like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years to go back home.
Okay. So many people will say that, these voices that want you to go back home, they're just amplified. It's a minority that's amplified, and that's.
I agree with the minority.
Well, okay.
It's a minority, fine, but I agree with the minority.
But if we do have, going back to, because I see what you're saying in terms of like the end goal.
Now, let me tell you something. Why are Muslims here? The Muslims are here because California is beautiful. California has lots of economic opportunities, has lots of technological advancement. Silicon Valley is there. People are in New York, in Chicago, in Dallas, Texas, because like it has a higher quality of life. Life is beautiful. Why can't Pakistan be like that? Why can't Egypt be better than California? Why can't Malaysia be better than California? Why can't Indonesia be better than New York and Chicago? Why can't Lebanon and Jordan and Syria be better than Switzerland? These are the questions that we need to start thinking about. These are our countries. These are the Muslim world is our home. We're responsible for our home. If my household is basically in a mess, well, I'm responsible for it. Even if I'm traveling away from my home, that's my responsibility. It's my home. I'm renting somewhere else, sure, but that's my home.
Yeah.
And the Muslim mind, the Western Muslim mind, need to internalize this and stop pushing back. Because I know why you're pushing back. I know. I'm going to look you in the eye and know why you're pushing back, because you don't want the responsibility and you would love life. That's it. That's it. Do you love life? You don't want to risk it and just take risks and just go somewhere where it's not. Brothers and sisters, Allah created us to basically live by Islam. And we need to respect the Western countries that brought us here, allowed us to be here. We need to basically be true, privately and publicly, that we're not here to change anything. We're not bringing Sharia law. We're not bringing Islam to... No. We're here just as individuals who are Muslim in faith. We respect the law. We respect these countries. We respect how they live. We don't agree with it, but we respect it. Means basically that's this their right. Lakum dinukum waliya din. Allah says in the Quran, you have your way of life and we have ours. We're not going to impose ours in your home. This is your home. But we can choose freely. We have the right to. Nobody can take that right away from us. That in the Muslim world, we want to live by Islam. Okay? We respect you living by your liberal capitalist ideology in the West, and we're not here to change it. See, some Muslims want to change it. Some Muslims want to. And these are the people who are bringing us the headaches. When the alt-right says, oh, Muslims are trying to bring China, some individuals, some like small little organizations here and there, they do want to change because they believe that this is their new homeland. Bro, this is not your homeland. You're just an immigrant or a son of an immigrant or a grandchild of an immigrant. Just get it. Just get it that this is not your home. I know you love it because you love dunya. Sadly, the love of dunya have entrenched our hearts.
And that's very powerful, right? In theory, again, in practice, what we're seeing is even though people such as Mamdani and Al-Sayyid are not actually going into politics and fully reforming the system, but naturally, because they have certain beliefs, they're going to take that morality with them into politics. And that's going to have some impact, some change.
Look, let me tell you something. Yeah. I support Al-Sayyid 100%, Abdul, and I support Mamdani too, right? With all the disagreements I have with Mamdani specifically, and some of the differences with Al-Sayyid, I support them 100% because we need people to protect our civil rights as Muslim minority in the West.
Okay.
Period.
But only just to protect the civil rights.
Yes. I don't endorse them trying to change anything about the liberal constitution and making it anything that has to do with Islam and so forth. We're not here to change their country. We need to respect that. I will continue to advocate for that. And this is not like yesterday. I've been advocating for this for a long time. We're not here to change these countries.
Okay.
We're here. We respect the law. We respect these countries as they are. We respect these governments as they are. And that's it.
Okay.
Now, we need to protect our own civil rights, and we could oppose certain foreign policies, but that's really it. For me, that's the red line.
I mean, you find most of them just trying to take care of Americans, right? Their call is like, look, we're trying to bring healthcare, and we're trying to...
Yeah, look, as long as it's aligned with what society wants, it's fine.
Yeah.
Because we're not bringing anything. It's just like, if the Michiganers want free healthcare and Medicare...
Yeah.
Well, Abdul's not bringing Islam to bring Medicare. It's a proposal by society.
Right.
He's supporting it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm opposed to try to change the value system. we leave it as it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from our perspective, it's corrupt.
Mm.
Okay? From their perspective, they love it. Fine, bro. Keep your thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
We want our values to see. Our values are not even implemented in the Muslim world. There's corruption everywhere, bro. Like, corruption is the name of the game.
But wouldn't you say that's because of globalization? That's because of the Western influence and all
Well,
that?
it doesn't matter.
Uh-huh.
We're responsible for our actions. Like, you know, I'm definitely basically colonialism have destroyed our lands for the last 300 years.
But we can't just sit there and blame it on
Exactly. We can't just fine, blame them that they did what they did. But what are you doing about it?
them.
Let's take our own responsibility. Right? Let's try to entrench our own values in our homelands. Why are we trying to take our values somewhere else? Look, man, like we need to be straight up with the alt-right and the alt-left and the center and the center-left and the center-right. That we're not here to change your country. Neither the Constitution nor the basic philosophy of what you stand for. Keep it. This is yours. We respect it. We're not here to change it. And you know what? We should also leave.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for having us for the last, whatever years, and we respect your country. While we're here, we'll always basically be a value add to society. We will always basically stand for the security of these countries and for the betterment of its society. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's I believe this is how you thank people. They brought us in. They took care of us. And we need to reciprocate that with a thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we should be. Like I say it today. I said it. I've been saying this for the last 25 years. Now I'm more vocal about it here in the media. That's only a difference. But we need to stop this whole rhetoric about, we need to Islamicize this. Go Islamicize your own country. Okay? You don't like here, go back home. You should go back home. I'm a big proponent for Muslims to go back home. Again, no knee-jerk reaction. Not saying basic pack your bag and go. But we as a community need to invest in the Muslim world. We need to take care of our home. Our homes are burning sometimes. Look at Sudan. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that.
Yeah.
But how come we don't care about that? How come we're so selfish? Well, that's theirs. That's my cousins and my blah blah. I'm here now. No, that's not. And that's why God is maybe slam dunking us here with Islamophobia, with people trying to tell us get out of here, because we really disobeyed Allah SWT. We left our brothers and sisters and we said, well, we took the safety boats and we're good. Let them sink on their own. Yeah. That's not going to be forgiven by Allah. Neither in the dunya and nor in the akhirah. May Allah protect us.
Yeah, I mean,
may Allah forgive us. That's why we need to make a change. And that's why my message to every Muslim in the West, we need to make a change now. Because if we die, we're going to pay the price. And it's going to be heavy.
So that's very deep, and obviously, just like you said, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. It's not leaving right now. It's making a plan towards the future, right?
And don't forget, like, I'm not only speaking about immigration. I want the Muslims here to take part in building the Muslim world, whether they immigrate or not. You know what? Even if you stay here forever, what's your role in making the Muslim world a better place?
Make the Muslim world.
So forget about. It's not about the immigration. The immigration is needed because we do need to go build there. But does every single person needs to go? No, not really. But every single Muslim, even those who are going to stay here forever, and there could be a majority. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like it's not about the immigration piece. Like I'm not simplistic like that. But what's your role in making the Muslim world a better place? A place that's peaceful, secure, prosperous, high quality of life, advanced, industrial, no corruption, the rule of law, right? What's your role? That's your role. You have a role. You can't just say, well, I'm here in Texas, I'm here in Michigan, I'm here in Ontario. No. You do have responsibility here, but you also have bigger responsibility there. Understand that. The Muslim mind in the West has to understand that. That's a fact. And anybody who says otherwise is a liar.
So then if you're saying that this is the game plan, right? And obviously you're saying that this is going to take some time, and some people will still remain here but support this big civilizational, mission that everyone has an obligation to and will be questioned on the Day of Judgment. What my question is how severe is this anti-Muslim movement, or how bad is it going to get?
I don't know. It could be very bad. Don't forget the Japanese, American Japanese, or Americans with Japanese descent were put in concentration camps in the 40s.
In America?
In America.
What? Why?
That's 80 years ago. Because World War II was U.S. versus Japan. Like, you need to understand, things in the West could go totally, totally berserk. And if you're not scared, you're an idiot. Sorry to say that this way. If you're not scared about your future and the future of your kids and your grandchildren here, you're an idiot.
But there's no way that there's going to be a crusade-like thing that's going to happen. We have human rights. We have international law.
Human rights. Human rights with the genocide on TV, man. Like, forget it, man. Anybody who still believes in this is gibberish, is delusional. There's no human rights. There's no international law. There's no international criminal court. There's nothing. None of that. Like, I mean, like you saw it with Palestine. When it comes to the Muslims, all this stuff basically goes down the drain. It doesn't apply to us.
But to fathom that this could take place in the country,
we've been having 300 years of civilizational destruction under the guise of the United Nations and the League of Nations and what preceded that, which is the Christian League of whatever it was called. These things don't apply to Muslims. There's no international law. There's no human rights, and everybody knows it. So we need to stop this gibberish. I'm not saying basically we're gonna lose them. I already said we need to be active in media, in the legal lobbying, and in the political, activism to secure our rights as much as possible.
But we did gain the public opinion of even non-Muslims, people like Tucker Carlson, people like Candace Owens. So
that's good. I totally respect it.
So how, with people like that talking on social media, speaking, against what they see as the common enemy?
Look, that's the impact of loss of the work of the political activists and the media, social media influencers, both Muslims and more non-Muslims than Muslims, by the way. Whether on the left or in the center, or even sometimes on the center right, there are lots of people who, the people saw genocide. Like Gaza woke up the consciousness in Megyn Kelly, in Tucker Carlson, in Candace Owens. Gaza have awakened the dead consciousness of humanity. So look, it's a good thing. Like, I'm not saying it's not like totally bleak. There are lots of good things happening here and there. Like Mamdani is a good thing. I hope that Abdul wins the Senate race in Michigan, and many other people basically on the new left, right? The new left is, I said the DSA, but I'm happy that basically there's an awakening of consciousness that people says, look, we're losing. Like, you need to understand basically, and this is for all the Westerners, that the West has two ways. Either sadly liberal capitalism, which is an imperial and destructive, more to the outside, or their medieval Middle Ages, right? These are the two ways of living for the Europeans and the North Americans. And sadly, they spent 1,000 years in the Dark Ages, and then now they spend a few 300 years under the capitalist liberal ideology. And now they're shifting back to the medieval ways, right? This whole medieval Christian crusading thoughts and so forth. Sadly, they're going down from an ideological perspective, from a civilizational perspective. They're going back to the Dark Ages. Everybody who has a half a brain sees this. Any political analyst, any political thinker, knows this. But nobody says it like that. The way I just said it, nobody says it like that. The Europe and North America going back to the Middle Ages, okay? But that's what's happening. I mean, they're Tommy Robinson. That's Middle Ages stuff. That's literally Dark Ages. So thank you, Tommy. Really, big thanks, Tommy, for helping in declining your own continent and your own civilization. You're an idiot. You're a fool. But again, he's a paid agent for those who want to basically devastate the Western civilization. At least in the 60s and the 70s and 80s, there was something about human rights that applied to some people. It was something that had to do with some form of equality and rule of law. But it's all gone. It's all down the drain.
It's like we're seeing the veil being removed, Yeah,
it's a total decline. Total civilizational decline.
I'm sure many of you still have a lot of questions, and we will have more conversations on this topic. It's very important for our own ummah, for the Muslims to understand what their role is in the West, but also what their game plan is for the East. So as usual, if you have any other questions that you want us to talk about, let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can stay tuned for any other upcoming episodes. We'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.